Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, fine. So today we are going to have a discussion about the UV method. This UV method, you can also term it to be the MODI method. So both the methods are the same. That is the UV method and the MODI method. That is the modified distribution method. What is the purpose of having this method is that we are we have learned how to find the initial basic feasible solution using the northwest corner method using the least cost method. Now that doesn't guarantee us with the optimal solution. It guarantees us with the feasible solution. So in order to obtain the optimal solution, we are going to have a discussion of the MODI method. So for applying MODI method, you need to apply northwest corner method. So this method is quite easy, but since it is the first example that we will be doing for the MODI method, it will be taking time to understand the thing. Else it is very easy method. Okay, so just quickly within 2 to 3 minutes, obtain the solution using northwest corner method. I'll be requesting everybody to obtain the solution using northwest corner method. Quickly obtain the solution. Once you obtain the solution, just write in the chat box. Okay, I have got two answers. Means same answer from two people. Okay, so what is the probable answer? It's 3700 that I have received from four people till now. Okay, 3850. Fine. Okay, let's see what will be the answer. We will be looking into that particular answer later on. So let's start the discussion of the MODI method. So for the MODI method, you need to obtain the initial basic feasible solution. Initial basic feasible solution. So for this, you are having two methods, that is the northwest corner method and least cost method. So you can obtain the solution using any of the methods. We would be trying to obtain the solution from both the methods. Okay, now let's first of all focus on this first method that we have learned, that is the northwest corner method. So what will be there? Just go for the northwest corner. So I will be allocating over here 200 units. I will be allocating over here 200 units. The 50 units will be remaining. This will be 0. So over here I will be allocating 200 units. Now with the reference of this particular thing, what I will be doing, I will be cancelling out the entire column. This is the revision of the northwest corner method. Now again go to the northwest corner. Over here I will be allocating 50 units. So what I was doing, I was just scribbling it out and just writing the number of units. Instead, now I am writing it in the corner. Over here it will be 0, over here it will be 250. This is 0, so just cancel it out. Go for the northwest corner, so it is 250 over here, so I will be allocating 250. This will be 0, this will be 100. 0 is there, so cancel out. Now again go for the northwest corner, it's this one, so I will be allocating 100. This will be 0, this will be 250. There is 0, so cancel out. Now 250 will be allocated. 0, 150, and then 0, 0, and over here 150. So this is the allocation that we have obtained. I hope there won't be any issue with this particular step, till this particular step. So if I am writing the entire matrix again, then how my matrix will be looking like? Let me just write the entire matrix again. Three, 1, 7, 4, 2, 6, 5, 9. It was 8 or 5. I also need to look. Okay, 8. 3, 3, 2. Allocation of 200 units over here. Allocation of 50 units over here. Allocation of 250 units over here. Allocation of 100 units over here. Allocation of 250 units again over here. Allocation of 150 units. So I've simply written the allocated values. Now you need to remember what are the conditions for the MODI method. What are the conditions for the MODI method? So first condition for the MODI method is that ui plus vj is equals to cij. Now don't worry about this entire formula. It's very simple. I will be explaining it in just within 1 or 2 minutes. And next is, this is the first condition. The second one is number of rows plus number of columns minus 1 is equals to number of allocated cells. Number of rows plus number of columns minus 1 equal to number of allocated cells. So in many of the literature books, it will be given as m plus n minus 1 equal to c. M plus n minus 1 equal to c. In many of the literature book, it is given in this manner. What does this mean? It is the number of rows plus number of columns minus 1 equal to number of allocated cells. Now over here, how many rows are there? I am having 3 rows and 4 columns. Minus 1 equal to, this will be summing out to the number of allocated cells. That is how many cells I have allocated? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, it is satisfying. It is satisfying. So that means I can apply the MODI method. I can apply the MODI method. To apply the MODI method, these are the 2 conditions in which we have just looked into the second condition. That is the number of rows plus number of columns minus 1 equal to the number of allocated cells. The if condition is satisfied, then we can apply MODI method. Okay, let's say this is my U1, U2, U3. Why it is called as the UV method? Because of this reason. Let's say I am naming the columns as V1, V2, V3, and V4. Now, Cij. So if I am saying that, okay, Ui, I and j can be any value. I and j can be any value. If I am saying that, okay, I, j both are equal to 1, it's nothing but U1 plus V1. equal to C11. Now U1 is this one, V1 is this one, and C11 is this one. Cell value. It is the cell value. Or better, I will be writing allocated cell value. Allocated cell value. Over here also C stands for the cell, allocated cell value. In this case also C stands for the allocated cell values. If I'm writing I equal to 1 and j equal to 2, then that means U1 plus V2 must be equal to C12. So U1 plus V2 equal to C12, this one. So same as something like the array that you used to do. In your programming, you used to do with the array. So same thing is over here. Okay. So is this thing clear till now? I'll be asking repeatedly because if it is not clear, then it's totally waste of time from my side also and for your side also to go further if it is not clear. So is it clear till now? Simple things.
Sir, first
Yes.
condition is not clear. The first condition.
Okay, so I'll be explaining the first condition again. So what it means that U1 plus V1 equal to Cij. So this is the condition that you need to follow. So what is U1? We will be looking into it. What is V1? We will be looking into it. Then C11. This C11 is given to you as the first column, that is 3. We will be adjusting the values of U and V corresponding to this 3. So what we are actually trying to do, we are trying to balance the things out. That is, U is number of these rows, V is number of columns, and Cij is the allocated cell value. The cell which is allocated the weightage will be considered over here. So if I am saying that, okay, let's start with something. So always assume, initially always assume that, okay, U1 is equals to 0. Because see, you need to balance out the values and you need to find out what is the purpose of condition 1. The purpose of condition 1 is to find out values of U and V. You need to find out the values of U and V. This is the purpose of UV method. Now, in order to find out the purpose or in order to find out the values of U and V, you need to apply this particular formula. Because of this formula, you can get the values of U and V. But in this case, both U's and V's both are unknown. So out of the 3 variables which you are having, that is the U, V, and C, if 2 variables are unknown, then you cannot find out the third. You cannot find out the values of those variables. So assume U1 to be 0. Always assume U1 to be 0. So what we are doing, assume U1 to be 0. Now with reference to U1, which is the first allocated cell, it is this cell. That is C11. First row, first column, that is C11. Is the first allocated cell. It is having the value of 3. It is equals to U1 plus V1. Now we have obtained this U1 to be equal to 0, or we have just assumed this U1 to be equal to 0. So this will be 0 plus V1 equal to 3. That implies V1 equal to 3. So we have found out V1 value. We have found out the value of V1 to be equal to 3. So simply write in this particular place V1 equal to 3. Let me write it more clearly. So we have obtained V1 equal to 3. So now you can see 0 plus 3 equal to 3. The condition is satisfied. Now which is the next allocated cell. So ultimately what your goal is to find out all the values of u and v. But you need to only look forward for the cell values which are allocated some units. You don't need to look forward for the remaining values. Like the value over here, that is 2. The value over here 2. The value over here 8. The value over here 7. The value over here 4. No, you don't need to look forward for those values. You only need to look forward for the values which are allocated certain units. So with the reference of u1, having u1, which is the another variable whose value you can find out depending on the allocated cell. So it is nothing but this one, v2. You can find out this value of v2 because v2 is the value which you can find out because of this c12 is equals to 1. So it's nothing but just the adjustments of the variables. The adjustments of the variables, your main intention is to find out the value of all the variables whatsoever, howsoever you want to proceed. That is the main thing over here. Fine. You can find out the values of u and v. You can find out the values of u, all the u's and all the v's pertaining to this particular condition with the reference of this to this condition, u plus v equal to c. Now u12 is equals to 1. It is been given, that is u12 is equals to 1, this one. This is equals to u1 plus v2. u1 is equals to 0, so it is 0 plus v2 equal to 1. That means v2 is equals to 1. So we have found out v2 equal to 1. Now what will be the next thing that we can find out? Which variable, anybody can just help me out? Which variable can be the next variable that we can find out? We have found out the values of u1, v1 and v2. Yes?
U2 we can find.
Correct. We can find u2. Why? Because u2 over here is unknown. We are having the value of v2, but we are also having the value of c22. That means we are having over here the value of c22. So let me write over here c22 is equals to 6. This is equals to u2 plus v2. u2 is unknown, but v2 is known equal to 1. So it is equals to 6. So u2 is equals to 5. So we have found out this value to be equal to 5. Now, which is the next variable that we can find out?
Sir, V3.
Correct. V3. We can find out V3. So what is this V3? Why we can find out V3? Because we are having over here the allocation to the cell of C23. So over here C23 we are having C23 is equals to 5. U2 plus V3 is equals to 5. That means U2 is 5 plus V3 equal to 5, which implies V3 is equals to 0. So I will be writing over here V3 equal to 0. Having found out V3, we are left with U3 and V4. So which variable we can find out the next?
U3, sir.
Right, U3. So with the reference of this particular value 3, which is the allocated this one, that is C34. Sorry, C33 equal to U3 plus V3 equal to what is the value of C33? It's 3. U3 is unknown, V3 is 0 equal to 3. So U3 is equals to 3. So this value is equals to 3. And now the last value that is remaining is V4. What is the value of V4? What will be the value of V4? It's U3 plus V4 is equals to C34. It is equals to 2. U3 is 3 plus V4 is equals to 2. That means V4 is equals to minus 1. It's completely fine. Minus 1. So ultimately, what we can say that we are simply adjusting the values corresponding to the the allocated cells. We are simply adjusting the values corresponding to the allocated cells.
Hello,
Is this
sir.
yes?
Sir, yeah, I got this, but like I was confused. Like, what is the purpose of this U and V?
Okay. So I will be explaining the purpose once I proceed for the next step. So in the next step, you will be realizing why we are getting this thing. The reason is that we are providing the penalty to the unallocated cells. We are providing the penalty to the unallocated cells depending on the values of U and V. So once I write the formula of this penalty, you will be getting the idea, and I will be explaining in more detailed version. Okay, so we have obtained this particular matrix with the values of U and V. Now the next step is the penalty to unallocated cells. Penalty to unallocated cells. So what is the penalty value Pij? Penalty value to the unallocated cell, any cell that you can consider Pij is equals to Ui plus Vj minus Cij. So same formula that we were used to write this one, the first one, Ui plus Vj equal to Cij. Instead of that, what I have done, I have simply taken Cij on the left side and have written this particular formula of penalty. Initially, what we were having, Ui plus Vj is equals to Cij. But now I have taken this on the left side, and that will be the penalty value. So can anybody tell me why I didn't write for the allocated cells? Why I have specially mentioned as the unallocated cells? What will be the value of the penalty for the allocated cell?
It will be 0.
It will be 0, correct. It will be 0. Why? Because we are writing Ui plus Vj is equals to Cij. So if I replace this thing with Cij, so Cij minus Cij equal to 0. So penalty for the allocated cell, this is for the allocated cell, will be 0. Why we are providing the penalty to the unallocated cell? Because we want to know why they were not allocated. We want to know why they were not allocated. And on providing the penalty, there is a chance that we may get a better result. So if you just correlate the same concept with the Big M method, in the Big M method, what we were used to do, since it was the unbounded region, we were not able to find out the values. So we have included the artificial variables. These artificial variables were used to get penalized in the objective function. So the same thing we are doing over here. In any of the optimization technique, if you consider, majority of the times, we were going to give the penalty to the unallocated cells or penalty to the cells which are not playing the role in the particular allocation. So that if there is a chance that if the cell might be having a lower value, then it gets come out from the entire penalty. So it's something like, if I can just say in the lucid example, then suppose you are misbehaving. Suppose there are 3 students, you might have faced this thing that in the last row, there are, let's say, 5 students. And out of the 5 students, one person was laughing. One person was laughing. So let's say this is the person who was laughing. Now the teacher in front of or here standing want to know who was that particular person. Who was that particular person? So what the teacher will be saying that you please tell me who was that particular person. You please tell me who was that particular person. No one stood up. No one stood up. So what teacher did? The teacher just lifted the random person. Let's say this one. The teacher lifted up the random person. Let's say this one, and said that, okay, I doubt on you. I doubt on this particular person that, okay, he was the person who misbehaved in the class. And as a result, I am going to call his or her parent. I'm going to call the parent and I am going to complain about the misbehavior. I am going to complain about the wrong attitude during the lecture sessions. So this particular fellow got afraid. This particular fellow got afraid. And he told that, no, sorry, I am not that particular person, but it was this particular person who actually misbehaved. So the teacher came to know that, okay, he was the particular person who actually misbehaved. So what we are doing over here, the same thing we are doing over here. The teacher told that, okay, I am going to call the parent. That is nothing but the penalty to the student. The teacher told that, okay, I am going to call the parent. That is the penalty. And because of the penalty, the another cell was being blamed. Why? Because the student got afraid that, okay, it is the wrong penalty that has been enforced on me. So the right person who did the mistake should be pointed out. So the same thing over here it's happening. There are the chances that the allocations that we have done may be wrong. There are the chances that the allocations that we have done may be wrong. So I'm intentionally saying that, okay, I will be giving the penalty to the unallocated cell. So same thing like this one. Same thing like this one. The case where the person who didn't misbehave was given the penalty. And then the person told that, no, it was not me, but it was some another person who was wrongly left out. So same concept we are applying over here. So what we are actually doing, we are actually going to give the penalty to the unallocated cell. And because of this penalty, there is a chance that the cell itself speaks out that, no, it was not me. It was some another person who is going to be having over here is the allocated cell, and it's not me. So what we are doing over here, Pij is equals to Ui plus Vj minus Cij. So let's calculate Pij for all the unallocated cells, So if I can just erase this out, then let's say P11 is allocated, P12 is allocated, this P13 is unallocated. P13 is equals to U1 plus V3 minus C13. It's U1 that is 0 plus V3 is 0 minus C13, that is the value of the cell, that is minus 7. The value of the cell, that is minus 7. Same thing, P14, if now I can assume that you will be writing this formula also. I am just directly writing it. So it's U1 plus V4, so 0 minus 1, so minus 1 plus 4. Sorry, minus 1 minus 4, it's minus 5. Now the next term is this one, P21 is equals to 5 plus 3, 8 minus 2, it's 6. P24 5 minus 1, 4 minus 9 minus 5. Next is this one, P31 3 plus 3, 6 minus 8 minus 2. P32 3 plus 1, 4 minus 3, 1. So what we have done, we have given the penalty to all the unallocated cells. We have given the penalty to all the unallocated cells. Now, how can we know that whether the given solution is optimized or not? How can we know that whether the given solution is optimized or not? So for that, the condition of optimality, same as what we were doing in the simplex method, same as what we were doing in the BigM method. The same we will be doing over here. Condition of optimality. All penalized cells must be negative. All penalized cells must be negative. Over here, which is the penalized cell which is not negative? There are two cells which are not negative, P21 and P32. So if they are not negative, then that means that the condition of optimality is not fulfilled. Negative or zero. Negative or zero. So for that thing, what you need to do? You need to have the reallocation. Because there is a signature that, okay, you have not assigned the perfect or correct cell. So we will be dealing with the reallocation. The reallocation, in the reallocation rule, what you need to find out, you need to look for highest positive value. Highest positive value. That is nothing but over here, which is the highest positive value in penalty. In penalty. It's this one, P21. P21. It is the highest positive value in penalty. Okay. Now with reference to this P21, I am just marking P21. Where it is P21, it's this one. I am marking with star, this value. Now it's simply the game type of the thing that will be coming out now. There is a game type of the thing that will be coming out in this particular thing. Okay, what is that game? There is a puzzle over here. In each of this method, since this is the MODI method, there will be puzzle over here. There will be puzzle over here also. So what will be the puzzle in this particular case? In this particular case, the puzzle is that you need to start with star. You need to draw only the horizontal line or vertical line. It won't be or, but it will be end. Horizontal and the vertical lines. And form a closed loop. Now, whenever you would be drawing the horizontal and vertical line, let me just give the example. Let's say if I am drawing this particular shape with horizontal and vertical lines and the closed loop. So this particular points, the corner points, will be the points where you will be having the allocated cell. Allocated cell. Again, I am repeating, starting from this star that you have obtained, this star is nothing but this highest value, highest positive value of the penalty. You will be starting with the star. You will be forming any shape. I am saying any shape using only horizontal and vertical lines, and you will be forming a closed loop. This shape can be this one also. This shape can be this one also. It's completely fine. This shape can be this one also. The shape can be like this one also. What the thing is that at all the corner points, you are having the allocated cell. Except the point from where you are starting, and that will be the start point. For example, you are starting from here, so it will be a start point over here. And remaining all will be allocated cells. If in this case you are starting from here, then it will be star over here and all will be allocated cell. So if I can start drawing this particular shape, then how my shape will be there in this particular thing. Suppose I have just started to draw. Over here, I am starting, I have reached to the allocated cell, but I decided that, okay, let it be. I am having another allocated cell also. So over here, I have reached. Now I am having two options from this particular point. Over here or here, top or the bottom. So I decided that, okay, if I move to the top, then I won't be getting any of the allocated cell. So I have decided to move to the bottom. Now over here, it's again the allocated cell. So I would be deflecting my path. Now over here, again, I'm having allocated cell. So I will be deflecting my path. I've reached over here. This is the dead end. I can't move outside this thing. I cannot turn from this to any place. I cannot have the turn to any place. Why? Because the corner points are always having the allocated cell. So that means this particular path which I have chosen is a wrong path. The path which I have chosen is a wrong path. So what I will be doing? I will be rearranging my path. I will be checking for all the possibilities of my path and I will be rearranging it. So how I will be rearranging? So let's again start from the scratch. This is the very first step. Okay. I am going over here. Instead of going further, I decided that, okay, let's move forward to and let's divert. So I decided that, okay, let me just move downward. But over here, it is the dead end. Why? Because I cannot move outside the boundary and I cannot have the turn because there is no allocated cell at this particular place. So again, I am choosing the wrong path. Now, let me have some another try. Let's say over here, I am moved. From this, I am diverting over here. From this, if I am seeing that, okay, let me divert in this particular direction. Now over here, it's again the dead end. And I cannot also take the turn because there is no allocated cell over here. So this is again a wrong path that I have selected. Let me see if there is any possibility where I can draw the shape using the horizontal vertical path, form a closed loop, and also have the corner points as the allocated cells. So I am again trying, I am doing an attempt over here. I am moving over here. Let me move this time over here in this particular direction. Let me move in this particular direction. Yes, I have formed a closed loop. So you can see in this particular direction, I have formed a closed loop. I have formed a closed loop. I have formed a closed loop. Now, what is the next step? Just give positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, alternate signs. Give positive, negative, alternate signs to the corner points, starting from the star. So this was the star, that was the starting point. So I will be giving positive sign over here. Then the next allocated point, corner point is this one. So I will be giving negative sign over here. Then the next is this one. So I will be giving positive sign over here. Then the next is this one. So negative sign over here. Again, this is the positive. Yes, we have reached. So what I am doing, I am giving the negative sign and positive sign, alternate positive and negative sign. Now the last step, let me draw this clearly. Okay, this is the negative sign. The last step of this entire process, if I can just erase this. The last step says that select the smallest number of unit from all negative cells. Now you will be thinking that what are these all things going on over here? What things are being going on over this thing? We cannot understand any of the reasons why all the things are going on. There is a reason, but I will only be able to explain once we complete this particular example. Then I will be going to explain the entire process again. There is a something reason behind all these things. Okay. Now select the smallest number of unit. It is basically of unit. It's not of the cost. The Cij, it's not the cost. C is for the cost. I am saying about the unit. That is the number of units that is been allocated. Smallest number of unit from all negative cells. So which are the negative cells? It is this one. The cells which are represented as C11 and C22 are the negative cells, where I am having the units as 200 and 250. The allocated units are 200 and 250. Now from this 200 and 250, select the smallest number, that is 200. There is the smallest number, that is 200. So what I will be doing with this reference of 200, I will be modifying my entire matrix. I will be modifying my entire matrix. I would be really happy if you have written this entire condition of optimality, because I need some space to write. I won't be doing everything overlapped in this particular structure. So I assume that you would have written this condition of optimality and this particular condition, so that I can erase it and I can have some space to write, because I can't every time just write over this figure. It will become very difficult for you also to understand. Okay, now I am again drawing the entire matrix over here. Just draw the entire matrix. Three, 1, 7, 4, 2, 6, 5, 9, 8, 3, 3, 2. Now assign all the units, assign all units to cells that are not in the shape. This is the shape that we have drawn. I have written this shape and not square because you can have any of the shape. Okay, so apart from the cells which are being covered by the shape, you can assign the remaining units. So over here it's 100 units. Let me assign these units 100. This is 250. This is 150. Now what you need to do, select the smallest number, select the smallest number from the number of units. So these are the number of units that you are having, which are having the negative cells. So that is 200, 250, select the smallest number. So this one, 200. So if you are having negative sign, then subtract 200 from the number of units. If you are having positive sign, then add 200 to the number of units. So if you are having negative sign, then subtract it, positive sign, then add it. Over here, corresponding to the first cell, 3. You are having 200 with the negative sign, so subtract 200 from this. So 200 minus 200, it will be 0. It will be 0. So 0 units will be allocated in this particular place. So I won't be writing 0 because that is the thing that is cannot be written. 0 is no unit. So why should I be writing? Next is over here, plus. Since this is the thing where there is no unit is there, where it is star, so I assume it to be 0, because whenever there is the on a location, I am not writing any number of units. So over here, it will be 0 by default. So 0 plus 200, so it will be 200. Next thing over here, it's 250. 250, the sign is negative, so minus 200, so it will be 50. Over here, 50 is there. So plus 200, it's 250. 250. Okay, instead of this 500, I have just made the mistake. It will be 50. Because we are in 250 minus 200, it's 50. So this is now my transformed matrix. This is now my transformed matrix. Now, with this step, can anybody just tell me what is the observation from this step? What is the observation from this step? Can anybody tell me? What is the observation from this step? What we have done? Can anybody just intuitively say? No matter why we have done, yes.
So what I think is like 3 was a higher cost than the 2, then so we have allocated, we have reduced it, and we have means 1 is smaller, so we have allocated more space to 1. The same we did for 2 and 6.
Correct. See, over here, what our main purpose is, we are having demand and supply. We cannot exceed the supply and the demand. We cannot have the misbalance from what is being given to us. So, since we are forming only the loop with the vertical and the horizontal line, and this particular loop is a closed loop, there will always be the even number of cases, even number of corners. That is the theorem which has been applied over here. So there will be the even number of corners. So with the reference of the even number of corners, what has been happening, that you are adjusting the number of times the plus will be there, the number of times the minus will be there. It is the even number of corners because you are having the alternate positive and negative. So the number of times positive will be there, the same number of times negative will be there. So ultimately what we have done is correctly pointed out, one is having the lower cost, one is the lower cost. So we have assigned more number of units to this lower cost. 6 is the higher cost. So we have reduced the number of units of the allocation to 6. We have reduced the number of allocation to the 6. Now, if you can just sum the value over here in this particular cell, if you just sum the values in this particular column, the number of units were 200 only. 200 plus 0, it's 200 initially. The same thing over here, 200 plus 0 is 200. The same units have been there. If you just sum the number of units in this particular row, it's 200 plus 50, 250. The same thing over here, 0 plus 250, it's 250. It's maintained. Over here, 50 plus 250 is 300. In this case, 50 plus 250 is 300. So what you can see that our number of units are remaining the same. That means we are not unbalancing the demand and the supply units. We are only adjusting it. We are only adjusting it. So this is the purpose of the entire formulation of the loop, and we can adjust only because of the values of u and v. We are selecting randomly the values of u and v, and that is giving us the intuition that okay, which cell is going to get penalized and which cell we are having the more units that shouldn't be there. In this case, it's the 6. The cost price is 6 higher. Then we should be reducing the number of units. The cost price of 1 is lower, so we should be increasing the number of units. So this is what is being done in this UV method. You continue the same process. You continue the same process till you get the penalty, all the penalties to be non-positive. That is either it should be 0 or it should be negative. Is this thing clear till now? We are not completed with the discussion of the entire problem. You may feel it to be something rubbish type of the methods, rubbish type of the operations that are going on, but it is having certain logic. Some logic that I have told right now, I will be able to tell the remaining logic, the remaining purpose of this thing once we complete the entire question. We are simply adjusting the weights. We are not doing anything. Is it clear till now? Anybody having any doubt? We would be continuing this same thing in the next lecture, but the same process that we did till this point of time. We will be continuing the same thing. So over here, we will be again finding the U's and V's. And then we will be finding the penalty that we have represented as the star. And from the star, we are going to find the shape. And then from the shape, we are going to reallocate. So this is the flow that we are going to follow. So is this thing clear? The process, why the process? Not an issue right now, but what is the process? Okay, so if it is clear, if you are not having any doubt, then you can just write your roll number and name in the chat box for the attendance and you can leave. If you are having any doubt, then you can just ask me and clarify your doubts.